Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and today I'm going to share a product with you that you've probably seen online, especially if you play video games and you just maybe didn't pay a lot of attention to. I think this is the sort of thing that a lot of people kind of sleep on, but given that we just had the Thanksgiving holiday and I was traveling, I was trying to see what kind of cloud gaming options might be available because obviously I'm not going to lug my Xbox Series X with me, my PS5, all that kind of stuff. So what I did was I picked up the Logitech G Cloud. I'll get it kind of centered here. This has been out for about a year, I believe. Normally it retails for 350 bucks. I got it for 300, which having had some time spent with it now, I do think is a little bit pricey for what it is. I think $250 is actually a little bit more reasonable for what you get with this. But if you're into cloud gaming at all and you've tried that, and a lot of people are just immediately resistant to that, I would say that this is definitely worth a look. So a couple of things prompted my interest in this, and really it actually kind of started with the PS Portal, the PlayStation Portal. I've been trying to track one down for a little while now. It's sold out everywhere, as is the case with any kind of new video game hardware, it seems like these days, once it's released. So I started looking at some alternatives because while I was traveling, I wanted to catch up on some games I was playing. So I was playing on PS5, the Crew Motorfest, which is a really great game. Another one flying under the radar. You can probably catch it on sale sometime soon, but if you like racing games, you'll like that a lot. But other than that, I really wanted to play some Forza on Xbox. And I know I could do that through xCloud or I could remote play from my Xbox. And so I picked this up to try it out. And so I've had time to use it at home. I've had time to use it on the road, going to visit my parents who live about 4 hours away with my family. And so I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts and my experience with that. So there are tons of videos out there that I think go into a lot of depth when it comes to, sort of how to connect the Logitech to the different things that you would need to connect it to make it work properly and all that. But I would say that it's actually pretty straightforward. It's got an easy to use user face. It's easy to understand how you set things up, especially with Xbox. And I would say that this is really designed with Xbox in mind. You can do things like GeForce Now, which I have not yet tested on this, and some other services. But it can also do PlayStation Remote Play, but it's a little bit tricky with that because what you'll have to do, unless you're okay using touch controls, which I'm not, the whole reason for having something like this is because you have a controller sort of built into it, and it's a little bit more, I think, ergonomically comfortable than something like a Backbone, is you need to really purchase the $6 PS Play app, I believe it is. It's like a third-party thing that lets you actually use the controls on the G Cloud with your PlayStation. But in my experience with PlayStation specifically, when you're at home on your same wireless network or your wired network, whatever it might be, with your PlayStation 5, it works without issue. I could not get the PlayStation piece of this to work when I was on the road. And I'm not sure if that's just a remote play thing with PlayStation where you have to be on the same network. I'm not sure if it had something to do with my parents' internet. That could have been part of it because their internet is fine, but it's not fiber internet like we have here at our house. And so I just could not connect to that, but I had no issues whatsoever connecting with Remote Play and xCloud to Xbox with this. And as is the case with any kind of cloud streaming gaming, it's all going to come down to the quality of your internet. So, later in the evening, for example, when everyone else at my parents' house was asleep when we were there for Thanksgiving, I had no problems at all playing things like Cocoon, which is an awesome game. Finished that not long ago. It gets a little bit tough toward the end and a little bit mind-bending with some of the puzzles, but a really good game. Finished playing that. I played a lot of Forza. I hit up a couple of other games I've got on Xbox with it, but had no issues with xCloud. Even remote play works fine at a distance. Again, 200 something miles away, 4 hours away with this, it worked without any kind of issue. Couldn't get on PlayStation, but I will say having, connected to my PS Remote Play at home with this device, it works totally fine. Today I was watching some NFL games, and I was also playing the Crew Motorfest while I was watching those games. No kind of lag or anything like that. Of course, the visual fidelity and quality is not going to be what it is when you're playing on an HD TV, but it still looks really good. I think for what it is, it works well and works fine. Sadly, in my opinion, there really hasn't been a cloud gaming service that matches Stadia quite yet. I think that really was sort of the king of that, and I'm still a little bit depressed that that just sort of went by the wayside. Thanks a lot for that, Google. But anyway, xCloud works great on here, all things considered, so does PlayStation. I think, even though there is some pixelation, that sort of stuff, when you're on a solid Wi-Fi connection and you don't have a lot of things happening at once, right? People streaming other games, multiple movies, all that, this works great. And I think I've seen it described before as kind of a stopgap measure, and I would say that's what it is. Of course, my preferred way to play is always going to be on the console itself, right? I mean, that's the best way to do it. Download it. You've got the best visual quality, the best responsiveness, zero input lag, all that kind of stuff. But this works really well. I would say that no, I didn't really notice a ton of input lag when I got into games with this, especially when it was a little bit later in the evening and I sort of had the run of the internet and all of that. But one thing I will say I love about this too is the controls. I think the control sticks feel great. I think the button layout is great. The D-pad is fine. And it basically is kind of intuitive, right? So for example, when you're pushing this G button on this, it's going to take you to the Xbox menu or the PlayStation menu as if you're pressing the PlayStation button or the Xbox button on a controller. It's all intuitive. It all works fine. I think the speakers on this are good enough for what they are. What's nice is that you can connect Bluetooth audio to this, right? So if you have Bluetooth earbuds or headphones, they work without any kind of issue. I think the screen looks totally fine. You know, again, for what it is, it's high quality enough. And again, I think that for what you're paying for this, it's a really good experience. It's a simplified package that feels good in the hand. It's not going to cramp your hands. I played for an hour plus frequently at a time without any kind of issue, and it works super well. However, my end-game goal for PlayStation specifically is to get the Portal. If you're watching this and you have a bead on any kind of outlet or website that's selling the Portal for not an outrageous price, because already we've got, you know, the secondhand people trying to sell this after they purchased it for $100 more than what it should be, let me know that, because I really do want to get a PS Portal just for PlayStation specifically. But for Xbox devices, you know, this really, in my opinion, is one of the best options out there. Now, some people would say you could get a Steam Deck and all of that, you know, which is probably going to be a little bit heavier, I would imagine. I've never actually played a Steam Deck, so I can't really speak to that with any kind of depth. But I think for the lightweight nature of this, the ergonomics of it, how good it feels in your hands, and I think the triggers are great and fine. The buttons are clicky, everything works well. I've been really happy with this. This really filled a niche need for me as a dad who has a lot of things going on. Sometimes I'm not able to access my television. This works super well. So I'm just curious, if you've got the Logitech G Cloud, what has been your experience? And I would say this, you know, if you're looking for a device that can stream your games effectively, especially when you're at home and you're just looking for another way to play when you don't have access to your television, you don't want to hook up a controller to your computer, that kind of stuff, this is a good option to consider. I do think, again, even at $300 on sale, it's a little bit overpriced. I think $250 to $200 is a little bit more in line with what I would expect with this, but it is a good option. But anyway, if you've got the G Cloud or you've played it, let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching.